watching us live on the internet, good morning, whatever time it is in your area. And it is always good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. We're going to get to this lesson, sisters and brothers. The title of this lesson is The Law Compared to the Law. The Law compared to the law. You know, people go to church all the time, and they're taught by most ministers that you don't have to keep that old law anymore. And we're going to show you today why they make such a statement. It's not because it is a fact. It is because they simply do not understand. Because most of the people that think that you don't have to keep God's commandments are what you call New Testament Christians. And the reason they don't know is because you have one law that was broken and another law that was added because that law was broken. That's called the law of animal sacrifice, sister and brother. And you might think that this don't make a difference, but this is one of the biggest mysteries in the whole, so-called Christian world. And this is one of the biggest things that Satan have perpetrated on the whole world. The only way for you to get into God's kingdom is to keep his law, because and if you don't keep the law, you are a sinner. And the wages of sin is death, sisters and brothers. Satan started this, tried to kill the whole creation in the Garden of Eden. But when the Lord came and made a fix it so this man could recover, now he is trying to kill you forever by telling you that you don't have to keep the law. So that's why the Lord put it in my mind to put both of these laws together. Maybe if you see them together, you will understand why the world is messed up. How is it you are going to go to church and let the minister tell you that you don't have to keep the law? How is that? I tell people, if I don't have to keep the law, I can steal, kill, I can lie, I can commit adultery, I can do whatever I want. The conditions are not limiting me. That's why I tell me the Lord have unconditional love. So if I bleed it, I can break all his laws and still get in the kingdom. They are correct. But I tell people all the time, there is no such thing as unconditional love. You don't even love your child if you're hard-headed all the time. So we're going to start this. We're going to do a couple of one verses because we need to pay attention. I didn't want to put nothing around it. Let's go into Hebrews, the 10th chapter. Because people are always talking about love, love. I was watching some, I forced myself to watch a woman preacher last night. And all the thing that I learned is that she knew how to say love. God is love. This is love. You have to love. You have to return love if you want to get love. The woman loved me off the couch. But said nothing. I tell you, sister and brother, you come here and you don't learn something when you come here, don't come back. You're in the wrong place. Because you're supposed to learn how to save yourself. And if you don't learn how to save yourself, wherever you go, and they're not teaching you how to save yourself, you don't need to be there. Because you're the one that have to work out your own salvation. You have to decide whether you want this. Like brother asked me one time, man, if I come to your church, what you want me to do? I said, sit down. Well, what if I don't like what you talking about? Get up and leave. Oh, man, you got to be kidding. I said, I ain't smiling when I told you that. And that's the way it is. God made you a free agent. I tell people, I put the word of God on the table. You can pick it up and leave it. If you leave it, it ain't going to hurt me, because you're not hurting me.
That's right.
God told guys like me, he called us watchmen. He said, you warn them about me. That's right. If you warn them, you have delivered yourself. You ain't hurting me. Right. I don't like what you said. Big deal. I don't particularly like it either sometimes. But I got to live with it. We're going to read one verse here because I want you to look at what this verse says. Sometimes we read a lot of stuff and we overlook stuff. I got a couple of one verses I'm going to start this off with because I want this to be understood. This 10 and 8, Hebrews the 10th chapter, and read verse 8. Go ahead.
Above when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin thou wouldest not. Neither had his pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
Now see, nobody paid no attention to that. So you had no sacrifice and offering, and burnt offering you didn't have no pleasure in, which are offered by the law. Is there anywhere in the Ten Commandments where the Lord said, thou shalt kill a cow? Offer up a lamb? No. He said, which are offered by the law. So now we know there's a law that offers animal sacrifice here.
That's right.
Now, let's see if we can find out who administers this. Back right on up to Hebrews the 7th chapter. And sometimes we just have to slow down and learn what the Lord is saying. Just slow down and take a good look. I have looked at a verse sometime for about 30 minutes and on every side of it and studied it to make sure I understood what this one verse is saying. Because everything is founded on understanding. If you don't have no understanding, you can't do nothing. And I find out that the biggest problem in the world is they don't have no understanding. We're going to read one verse again, verse 11. Hebrews 7 and verse 11. Hebrews 7 and 11. Okay, go ahead.
If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law.
For under it the people what?
Received the law.
Okay.
What further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron? So
now, the Levitical priesthood was set up to administer the law. What law? Animal sacrifice. If the animal sacrifice was any good, then Jesus would not have become high priest under the order of Melchizedek. He would have become the high priest under the order of Aaron.
That's right.
But you got two priesthoods here. One priesthood is to prepare you for the other. So you will understand one thing, that sin brings about death. There is no in between. The wages of sin is death. So now we have animal sacrifice, which is administered by the law. Then we have a priesthood that do what with the law? Read that top verse again.
If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people receive the law.
So now the Levites are the one that administers this law. They are the one. But this law could not produce any kind of life. And we're going to show you this. But we're going to go back. We're going to look at when the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. We're going to look at some of the things in the wilderness. Let's go back to Exodus the 18th chapter. Because people look at the law. And the only law they can think about is the commandments, 10 commandments. Sisters and brothers, a lot of laws in here. But we're dealing with the law and the law that was added because of sin. And I'm thinking the best way to make it be understood is to put both of them on the table at the same time. Somebody keep telling you that an apple is an orange and an orange is an apple. So when you put both of them on the table at the same time, you see they could not be the same because they don't look the same.
That's right.
Now you got to find out which is which.
That's right.
So when you see the difference, then you start to understand the reason why they exist, sisters and brothers. We're going to understand this. 18, we're going to start in Exodus the 18th chapter and verse 1. Exodus 18 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
When Jethro the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel his people, and that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt, then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back.
Now look, Jethro, that's the guy, that's the priest of Midian. When Moses ran from Pharaoh to go down there, he stayed with him for 40 years. He married his oldest daughter. So, but when Moses was sent back to Egypt, things got hot and heavy, so he sent his wife and his two sons back. So now once Moses had brought the people out of Egypt, then Jethro brought Moses' wife and his 2 sons to him. Skip down to verse 5 and read it.
And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moses into the wilderness.
So now that's what Moses them was. They was in the wilderness, sisters and brothers. So Moses, Jethro brought his wife to him. Go ahead and read.
Where he encamped at the Mount of God.
Now he was at the Mount of Sinai. Skip down to verse 13. Verse 13 and go ahead.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people. And the people stood by Moses from the morning until the evening. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning until evening?
So now when Jethro got out there, he saw something. He saw Moses sitting out there, and all Israel that had an inquiry about God or had a complaint, anything, they was all coming to Moses. Was no Levitical priesthood. They was all coming to Moses. And he asked him, what are you doing, man? Go ahead and read. What
15.
Go ahead.
Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people coming to me to inquire of God.
They came to me to inquire of God. See, you go to the priest now. When Levite was set up, and you still go to the priest. But that's the one that's sitting at the right hand of the Father now. He said, the people come to inquire me of God. Go ahead and read.
When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another. And I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws.
Go ahead.
And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good.
This thing ain't good, Moses. You going to wear yourself out? You going to wear the people out. Skip down to verse 21. Verse 21. Go ahead.
Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s and rulers of 10s. And let them judge the people at all seasons, and it shall be that every great matter that they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee.
Now, you notice that this guy, you see what this guy said? He ain't saying nothing about a priesthood. So get you some men, pick you some men out of Israel, some renown, and you know that they're righteous men. Let them help you. If the matter be too hard for them, then they bring that to you. Go ahead and read.
23. If thou should do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure. And all this people shall also go to their place in peace. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said.
So Moses listened to it. No, because there was no priesthood. Because when he brought him out, he sit down in a chair something all day long. And the people standing in line all day. His father-in-law said, look, man, it's going to wear you out. It's going to wear the people out. Get you some help. Still no priesthood. So let's go and see what happened when the Lord decided to come and show the people, to talk to the people face to face. Let's see what he said to Moses. Let's go in the 19th chapter of Exodus. Exodus, the 19th chapter, and start at verse 1. Exodus 19, and we're going to start at verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount.
So now, they came out and they before Sinai, then the Lord told Moses, I'm going to talk to these people. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9 and go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. And be ready against the 3rd day, for the 3rd day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai.
He said, I want you to go and tell these people to get ready. Wash their clothes. If we keep reading, don't come at your wives, don't do nothing. I want you to be sanctified, because on the 3rd day, I'm going to come down there and talk to y'all. Skip down to verse 17. Verse 17 and go ahead.
And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God. And they stood at the nether part of the mount.
And they brought them to meet with God. So because God wanted to talk to these people on his own. Skip down to verse 19 and go ahead.
And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount. And the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount. And Moses went up.
Now that's when the Lord came down. And that's when he gave the 10 commandments. So let's go into 20th chapter Exodus. We're not going to deal with all these 10 commandments. What we're doing here is see if there is a priesthood installed yet. 21. Go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
And he gave his whole commandments. I mean the 10 commandments. When he got through, then he let the people go. Skip down to verse 18. Verse 18, go ahead.
And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. And let not God speak with us, lest we die.
So now he told Moses, still no priesthood set up. Once God got through giving them 10 commandments, he held, Israel was scared to death, but he held them now until he gave them everything he wanted to give them. Then he let them run away from him. And then they said, look, Moses, you talk to the Lord. We don't want to talk to God no more, because we're scared we're going to die if we talk to God. That's what man, see, the Lord ain't the first one that wanted to get away from man. Man always wanted to get away from God because he didn't want to do what he said. He was scared of it.
Right.
So now, Moses let him go. Then Moses went up to get the 10 commandments. While he was up there, they made a calf and sinned against God. Then God told Moses, you better get on back down that mountain. Them people that you brought out of Egypt and sinned and turned away quickly. He wouldn't even on them. But then once he got through, Moses had to go back up and get them same commandments. He wrote them twice, but he didn't write one animal sacrifice in them, sisters and brothers. Let's go into Deuteronomy, the 10th chapter. See, the problem that people don't have no understanding, why they don't know nothing, sisters and brothers, because they don't have no understanding. And you cannot get understanding by reading a few verses out of the Bible or reading even the whole New Testament by itself or the whole Old Testament by itself. You cannot get understanding like that. You have to study this whole book, sisters and brothers. And I do mean study. Because of certain things you come to understand, and you see something else that looks contrary, you know it's better because you understand and tell you it's better. It's just like, I get a call on the dietary law. Go read some of Paul's writing, what Jesus said, but not what goes in. Don't defile a man, what comes out. But you understand that Jesus said, I'm God and I change not. Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. If he gave you the dietary law yesterday, how is he going to change it today? Right. Once you see understanding, sisters and brothers. There are certain sisters and brothers in here that people can accuse them of. I don't have to see it. I say, hey, you lying. Why? Because I know that person. You understand what I'm saying? And if Jesus don't change not, if Jesus don't change his mind, then whatever he did in every generation goes for every other generation. It is understanding. Deuteronomy 10 and 1. 10 and 1. Go ahead.
At that time the Lord said unto me, Hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and come up unto me into the mount, and make thee an ark of wood.
God still had not instituted no animal sacrifice. Moses broke the table with the 10 commandments on it. He said, I want you to cut out you 2 more, and you come on up here like you did the first time. Go ahead and read.
And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest.
And I'm going to write the same words. Ain't going to do nothing different, because God don't change. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt put them in the ark. And I made an ark of shittim wood, and hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and went up into the mount, having the 2 tables in mine hand.
Go ahead.
And he wrote on the tables according to the first writing, the 10 commandments.
What did he write on them?
The 10 commandments.
No animal sacrifice, did he? The 10 commandments. Listen, how you going to break the law? This guy going to stand up, and he going to tell you about his 10 commandments. Then he going to write them with his finger. Moses is going to get mad and break them. He call him back up and go write them again, and you going to tell me today that God didn't intend for us to keep them? I'm going to be nice. I ain't going to call you what I think. Go ahead and read. Finish that.
Which the Lord spake unto you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And the Lord gave them unto me.
He said, now, this is the same thing. He spoke this to you out of the fire. And the day that you stood before the mountain, and he gave them to me. Skip down to verse 12 and go ahead.
And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee?
Now, he's going to tell you what he requires. You don't have to wonder what the Lord wants you to do. He's going to tell you exactly what he requires of you. Go ahead and read.
But to fear the Lord thy God.
But to fear the Lord thy God.
To walk in all his ways.
To walk in all his ways.
And to love him.
And to love him.
And to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes.
And to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes. What you mean statute? Dietary law? That's one of them. You understand what I'm saying?
These days.
He said, you're reading what the Lord requires of you. He's telling it to you. There ain't no reason for you not to know what he wants. Well, I wonder what the Lord wants me to do. That let me know you didn't read the book.
That's right, brother boy.
What verse was that?
That's middle of verse 13.
Finish it.
Which I command thee this day for thy good.
He said, I'm telling you this day. Because he had Moses write everything that he wanted you to do. And this is what I can't understand. People always tell me, well, you know, we're in a new day. How new is the day? Have men started having babies now? How new is it? You understand what I'm saying? Do you still eat with your mouth instead of with your finger? Nothing has changed. Nothing.
Right.
He would tell, well, we're in a new day. It's a different thing. The whole world is different. I get his hand and put some fire to it. Do that burn? I would have burnt the hand of the first man. In other words, we have gotten away from practicality. Skip down to verse 16 and look what the Lord had Moses tell these people. Go ahead and read.
Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked.
So the next time when you tell somebody they have to be circumcised, and they tell you, well, we got to, nowadays, since Christ came, all you have to do is have the circumcision of the heart. Moses told you. Then, because in order, the circumcision of the heart means when you find out about the truth, you repent, stop doing evil things, and start walking in God's law. And if the Lord said a male got to be circumcised, you will do it.
That's right.
Why will you do it? Because you have been circumcised in the heart, which is the mind. People come up with all these little things, they don't have a clue. So now, we didn't see no animal sacrifice, did we?
Nope.
We didn't see Moses mentioned in one time, did we?
Not at all.
God gave his laws from Mount Sinai. Then he wrote them down. Moses broke them. Then he wrote them again. I just can't read everything that I could take you and show you where Moses even read them to the people. And they said, all that the Lord said, we will do.
Right.
And the Lord showed you what he required, didn't he? Now let's go into Jeremiah the 7th chapter. Jeremiah chapter 7. See, people have a great capacity of saying nothing in the name of the Lord and taking you where you should not go, sisters and brothers. And in their mind, they think that they have an option. I tell you, you do have an option. The same option that the Lord had Moses to put on the table in front of you. I set before you good and evil, life and death. Choose life and live. If you choose life, you're going to keep his laws and his statutes. If you choose death, you're not. Those are the only option you have. There ain't no in between. And you had best understand that.
That's right.
Because like I say, you can't die and get away from this guy. You best understand it. Jeremiah 7, start at verse 21. 7 and 21. 7 and 21. Okay, read it.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, put your burnt offerings into your sacrifices and eat flesh. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices.
He said, look, all these, what I want for you to do is make these offerings a thing and eat this flesh for your food. Not for sin. I didn't say anything to your fathers concerning animal sacrifice when I brought them out of Egypt.
That's right.
What did he say? Go ahead and read.
But this thing commanded I them, saying, Obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people.
Go ahead.
And walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you.
Didn't the Lord had Moses tell the people, this is what the Lord require of you? Ain't no change, is it? Walk in my ways. Obey my statutes. Keep my commandments. That's all I asked you to do. I didn't ask you to kill one animal for sin. See, this is what people don't understand. Oh, that was animal sacrifice, but it wasn't for sin. It was thanksgiving offerings and peace offering and heave offering. You know, like Noah, when he got on this side of the flood, he sacrificed one of each of the clean animals and fowls that came over on the ship with him. You know what I mean? That's why the Lord had more clean animals brought over than unclean. Because the Lord accepted that as some kind of, a form of showing God that I appreciate all that you've done to me. But sin offering, that was not on the table. He said, I showed you what I require. But what did Israel do? Go ahead and read.
Verse 24. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, but walked in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward.
That's what you call backslide. They wouldn't listen to me, but they walked in the counsel of their own evil heart, and they went backwards. And that's what's going on right now. Everybody walking counsel of their own. You go to Sunday preachers, some people say, brother, you shouldn't say Sunday preachers. I'm going to tell you something. Sunday itself is an offense to one that has some understanding. And they're going to tell you, you don't have to keep the law or the commandments, sisters and brothers. That's right. That's going backwards. This is God here. So now, Paul, after Jesus came and died, some of these Galatians apparently hooked up with some of the Israelites, and they wanted to continue the animal sacrifice. And this Galatians, the 3rd chapter, is all about animal sacrifice. But being that people don't understand that, they think Paul is talking about God's commandments. We're going to examine this a little bit. Let's go into Galatians, the 3rd chapter. Because we see that God didn't ask nobody to kill no animal when he brought him out, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
Obey my voice. That's all he wants you to do.
That's right.
You didn't have to kill one cow. All you had to do was do what he said. And this man have a problem doing what he said. Like brother said, I got a problem with Yah, this name Jesus. I said, you had a problem when it was that name Yahweh. And Jehovah, you had a problem. You understand? Because you didn't want to do what he said. Like this rebellion started since Jesus came. Because I always want to deal with, that name Jesus. I said, you mean Malachi 1:11. If you have enough brain to understand that 1:11, I don't have to say nothing else to you. These smart people. But now, it's obvious, sister and brother, that these people, it's just like, I know Paul has some of the problems I have nowadays. You understand? Because I have talked to people on the telephone and broke things. Everything was good. And then they call me ever so often. 6 or 7 months later, they call, well, look, I want to look at this name, Jesus. I said, you've been talking to a Hebrew Israelite. Yeah. Nothing changed. Don't you know that the Pharisees and the Sadducees changed Peter and them? Don't you know they wanted to beat him and kill him and told them not to speak no more in this name? But then the prophet told you that don't nobody want to be spoke to in the name of the Lord, didn't it?
Right.
That ain't got nothing to do with the name. It got something to do with your hard head and stiff neck. That's what it's got something to do with. But Paul was telling these people, look, you don't have to do this no more. About this law that we're dealing with that is ministered by the Levites. And we saw that was an animal sacrifice, wasn't it?
That's right.
Verse 1, Galatians 3:1. Go ahead.
O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you that you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ has been evidently set forth, crucified among you. This only will I learn of you. Receive ye the Spirit up by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? Now,
wait a minute now. How is it that you can be foolish for keeping the law? Right away, my antenna went up when I read this here. This can't be talking about the Ten Commandments. That's got to be some other law.
That's right.
Because how you going to call me foolish for keeping that which God told me this is what he required of me? That means something was wrong here. Skip down to verse 6 and go ahead.
Even as Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Know ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham.
Now, the Lord is talking, Paul is talking to people that believe God. That's what faith is. The word faith means believe, sisters and brothers. If you believe him, you're going to do what you say.
That's
what he
right.
said.
That is right.
Everybody in here does have a job. That job have a title, have a way that it is supposed to be done. Isn't that correct? That's they send in school and they train you. They give you on the job training, whatever means they use to teach you the way they want you to do this job. And they say, if you do this job, I'm going to pay you at the end of the week.
That's right.
So what do? You want to get paid, so you do the job. You go, well, I don't agree with this here. When my spirit says. They're going to say, let your spirit pay your light bill next week. You fired. When it comes to the word of God. So he said, Abraham believed God. Abraham entered into a covenant with God. And the covenant, he said, anybody that believe God, they are Abraham's seed, even if it's not physical. But skip down to verse 11 and read it.
But then no man is justified by the law in the sight of God. It is evident, for the just shall live by faith.
So this law can't justify you. It's evident that the just shall live by faith. Faith in what? That's what I'm saying. You tell me I don't have to keep the law, then what do I believe in?
That's right.
I got to have something to believe in. Bible tell you to watch and pray. You say I don't have to do nothing. What I have to watch for? And what do I have to pray for?
That's right.
People are always asking you to do something that don't have no foundation. So now, the just shall live by faith. That's what Abraham was, because he believed in God. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15 and go ahead.
Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant. Yet if it be but if it be confirmed, no man disannulleth or addeth thereto.
See, and so he said, look, I'm going to tell you something about this covenant with Abraham and God. Even though Abraham was a man, still, if this covenant is confirmed, can nobody add nothing to it or take nothing from it. I tell people all the time, too, when it comes to the circumcision. God gave the circumcision to Abraham. Everybody that's born in his house and bought, and every stranger that's bought with money. That means that's representing the blood of Jesus. You understand? So that covenant can't be added to it. It can't be altered. Now you're going to tell me a brother don't have to be circumcised? Where is your understanding and where did you go to church at? I need to write that address down and put it on the wall out there so won't nobody go to that place. Because they're trying to take your life from you. It's all that simple. Can't be added to or disannulled. Go ahead and read.
Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He saith not, and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed which is Christ.
Now people don't understand that Jesus was a part of the Abraham covenant. He was a part of the same covenant that God gave the circumcision to as a token, and it became a covenant. Now you're going to tell me, if people I tell people you got to be circumcised before I baptize you. Oh, brother, the Bible don't say it. It says it all over. You don't have to understand it to see it. Now look what else it said. Go ahead and read.
17. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of God in Christ, the law which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect.
So now the covenant, which was confirmed of God in Christ, because always Jesus, sister and brother, that's a big mystery too. The law, which was 430 years later, can't disannul. 430 years later, after what? People read this and don't think, well, we're going to find out. We're going to come back, and we'll get back here sooner or later. Let's go and investigate this. 430 years after what? Like I said, well, I came 10 minutes later. 10 minutes after what?
That's right.
Let's go into Exodus, the 12th chapter. And we're going to find out what this 430 years came from. Exodus chapter 12. See, people like to debate the Bible. They don't want to read it. They like to discuss it, talk about it. And then you're going to say, well, you know, old Paul is. I couldn't care less what old Paul did. You understand? Paul have finished his course. He have kept the faith. Me and you, we got to do that. He said, I got a crown laid up for me. We got to be able to say that. And if you don't have no knowledge, you can't say that. And you can say anything. But whether it means something or not is a different thing. Exodus 12, and we're going to start at verse 29. This is when the Lord told Israel to put blood over the doorpost. Because he's going to come through and he's going to kill the firstborn of every man and beast that don't have blood over the doorpost. And so the Lord came through and he did that. Verse 29. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne until the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon.
So go ahead.
And all the firstborn of cattle.
Now, so the Lord told Israel, now, I'm going to come through Egypt tonight about midnight. And I'm going to kill the firstborn of everything in the land. But you put blood over your doorpost. And when I see the blood, I'm going to pass over that house, and I won't allow the plague to come into you. In other words, if you have faith in me, if you believe in me, you're going to put the blood over your doorpost. And you're going to live. But if you don't believe in me, you're not going to put the blood over your doorpost, and you're going to die.
That's right.
People don't believe God. Some of them Egyptians had to know what. I know they was listening to Moses because some of them, when they bring plagues, he said, I'm going to bring hell and I'm going to kill everybody's cow that's in the field. Some of the Egyptians got their cows and took them in the house because they believed God. Apparently they didn't believe this because it was not a house that there was not one Egyptian dead, but then the Lord had a bone to pick with Egypt. Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, that there was not a house where there was not one dead.
That means none of the Egyptians had no faith in what Moses was talking about, even though he had beat them up. But then that's from the Lord. The Lord said he's going to harden Pharaoh's heart, and I'm pretty sure he did it to a lot of Egyptians because they had abused us, sisters and brothers. That's why I tell people all the time, don't worry about being abused. You just try and do right yourself and be prepared when good comes, because it's going to come. Go ahead and read.
And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, Rise up and get you forth from among my people,
go ahead,
both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also.
But Pharaoh had been convinced, didn't he? But go ahead.
And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. And they said, We be all dead men.
They had been convinced too, didn't they? Skip down to verse 40. Verse 40 and go ahead.
Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
Oh, so now we know where that 430 years come from, don't we? Go ahead and read the next verse.
And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day it came to pass, that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt.
Now, sisters and brothers, before Israel come out of Egypt, there was no sin offering for sacrifice. There was no Levitical priesthood. So whenever it came to pass, it was 430 years after the Lord had made this covenant with Abraham, because the Lord told Abraham, I'm going to make a covenant with you. I'm going to give this land to you. And the fourth generation, they're going to come back here. So now, they went through all this captivity. And 430 years later, the Lord sprung them. They had no animal sacrifice. The Lord took them out in the wilderness, and he gave them his commandment. Didn't we read that?
Right.
And then he told them what he required of them. To love me, keep my statutes, and have my judgment, and walk in my ways. He told them that. But now he said, I even want to live among you. Let's go in the 25th chapter of Exodus. Exodus 25 and 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering of every man that giveth it willingly with his heart. Ye shall take my offering.
So go ahead.
And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair.
Let's see what he's going to do with this. Skip down to verse 8 and go ahead.
And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them.
Lord said, I want to dwell among you. He's getting ready. The Lord's getting real cozy with this people. But go ahead and read.
According to all that I show thee after the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall you make it.
He said, I want you to do this, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. Let's go into Exodus, the 26th chapter. We're just going to hit a few things. 26 and 1, then we're going to skip down. Read verse 1. Go ahead.
Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work shall thou make them.
Now, let's skip down to verse 30. See, because this thing didn't start out as a sin offering, sisters and brothers. God was going to live there, but these people kept messing up. They just kept messing up. They messed up so bad until the Lord told Moses, I can't be among y'all no more. I got to get out here unless I break out and kill every one of you. That's when Moses took the tabernacle and took way away from it. The tabernacle then was there when Aaron then was instituted. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Skip down to verse 30 and read it. Verse 30, go ahead.
And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof which was showed thee in the mount. And thou shalt make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of cunning work, with cherubims shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood, overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold upon the 4 sockets of silver. And thou shalt hang up the veil upon the taches, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony, and the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy.
So now I had to put this sanctuary of a great big tent, sisters and brothers, and in the middle of this tent was a curtain. That's the veil. On one side was the holy place, and on the other side was the most holy place. Because the most holy place is where the Lord's supposed to be sitting behind the curtain. But go ahead and read.
And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place.
Now the mercy seat is where the Lord is supposed to be sitting, in the most holy place. Now we have this already established, sisters and brothers. Now, what about the priest? Let's go into the 28th chapter. Because if you're going to have a temple there, now we're going to have somebody do some service. Because Lord knows he's going to have to start killing animals to keep from killing people. 28 and verse 1. Exodus 28 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's son.
So that's when the priesthood was set up, sisters and brothers. They had been out of the wilderness a long time. So now the Lord set up a priesthood. Now, these priests, sisters and brothers, had to be the go-between between the people and God now. Because this man sinned and sinned and sinned until the Lord had to institute sin offering. Let's go into Leviticus now, and let's see, is Moses doing this or is the priest? Now remember, Moses was the one that did everything, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Then he had to get him a whole set of people to help him do it now, and they wasn't the Levites. Now the Levites been introduced to the people. Now let's see what they have to do. Leviticus, the 4th chapter. Because if this man had done what God said, he wouldn't have had to do none of this stuff. Because we're going to pay attention to what brings about this. Leviticus 4 and 1. 4 and 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, saying,
go ahead.
If a soul shall sin through ignorance.
Think about it now. If a soul shall sin, but it's always the same in every generation, through ignorance. Go ahead and read.
Against any of the commandments of the Lord.
Against what?
The commandments of the Lord.
So that's what we're talking, aren't we?
We would like to invite you to join us on the Sabbath Day Live via the internet. Log on to our website, which is www.theisraelofgod.com. Click on the link Sabbath Day Live on our homepage. You will need Windows Media Player to view our program. We stream live twice every Sabbath at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Central Time. If you enjoy our program, we would appreciate your donations to help defer the cost of continuing this work. Send donations to the Israel of God, 2515 East 75th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60649. Also, if you're in the Chicago area, please feel free to join us at our study class located at 2515 East 75th Street here in Chicago.